It's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
Always good to be back on ZiFM Sport on a Monday evening, your favorite sports show, bringing you your favorite stories from over the weekend, and there was plenty of action, local flavor as well as international. My name is Mike Madoda, and with me, Barry Manandi, Alois Munjira, Christine Midzi, and our producer is Sean Tafirinyeka. Now we'll give you news out of the home front. Cricket is dominating its front and center. Sean Williams shoring up Zimbabwe's innings with a belligerent 75, but the Chevrons total was hardly enough to trouble Pakistan, who eased to a 6-wicket victory to claim an unassailable 2-0 lead in the 3-match one-day international series being played in Rawalpindi, Pakistan. We'll pick that one apart for you. We also have some international sports news. Ruthless All Blacks retained the Bledisloe Cup for an 18th straight year. Yes, you heard me correct. 18 straight years, and this with a record-breaking victory over a young Australian team, 43-5, to reinforce their trans-Tasman dominance. In the Northern Hemisphere, England were crowned the 2020 Six Nations champions after they beat Italy in Rome as Ireland capitulated to France in Paris.
And around the world in 60, we begin in England, where Alexander Usyk passed his first major test in the heavyweight division by outboxing Derek Chisora and winning their high-stakes clash via unanimous decision on Saturday night. In Austria, rising star Andrei Rublev won his 5th ATP title of the season after beating Lorenzo Sonego 6-4, 6-4 at the Erste Bank Open. And in the United Arab Emirates, Ruturaj Gaikwad smashed his 3rd consecutive IPL 50 as Chennai Super Kings rounded off their campaign on a high and dumped Kings 11 Punjab out of the tournament.
We'll take a brief break for our play of the day. Today's Manic Monday, so look forward to that. Then as we dive into the Castle Lager World Football Report, we kick off in the Premier League, where Mikel Arteta claimed Arsenal's players were prepared to show more fight than Manchester United's as the Gunners secured their first Premier League win at Old Trafford since 2006. In La Liga, Atletico Madrid remain the only unbeaten team in the league after securing a 3-1 win away at Osasuna. In Serie A, Cristiano Ronaldo came off the bench to score a brace on his return from coronavirus as Juventus got back to winning ways with a 4-1 victory against promoted Spezia. And on the continent, Orlando Pirates thrashed Kaizer Chiefs 3-0 in the MTN 8 semi-final first leg match at Orlando Stadium. All of that and so much more to look forward to. But first, our power play. It's called Lo Shonanini. It's by Kelly Kumalo.
The Warriors, the Chevrons, the Cheetahs, the Mighty Warriors, and the Sables. From the pool to the track to the field, we are Team Zimbabwe. The Home Front. Local sports news and analysis.
Get in touch with us on Twitter at ZiFM Sport. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the action that happened over the weekend. If you're a big footy fan, there were 2 big matches in South Africa. El Clasico, Orlando Pirates thumping Kaizer Chiefs, and of course in England, Arsenal getting the better of Manchester United at Old Trafford. That's all coming up in the second half of the show, which is the Castle Lager World Football Report. But before we get there, let's give you some local sports news. On the home front, Sean Williams shored up Zimbabwe's innings with a belligerent 75, but the Chevrons' total was hardly enough to trouble Pakistan, who eased to a 6-wicket victory in the second one-day international match played at the Rawalpindi Cricket Stadium yesterday. This result, Barry Manandi, meaning that Pakistan have claimed an unassailable 2-0 lead in the series after also edging out the first one-day international. We did talk about this series in the build-up when Zimbabwe was heading over to Pakistan to say, you know what, let's not read too much into the results. certainly. But look, in truth, we have a proclivity towards drifting into our humanity whenever we see any sort of green shoots of possible growth and development. And we saw those green shoots in that first game because Zimbabwe was competitive. In fact, was in winning positions at various points during that game. And so our humanity kicked in and we thought the Chevrons might actually be competitive in this series.
But Barry, let me just hold your thoughts. Was it Zimbabwe that was competitive, or it was Brendan Taylor who showed how good he was? Because, you know, we couldn't mistake Brendan Taylor's fantastic performance to mean that it was a good team performance, and yet it was an exceptional individual performance from Brendan Taylor. Which is which here?
You see, that's why you're the pundit and I'm the fan, because from a punditry perspective, that is excellently surmised. But then when the raw emotions kick in, you lose the wood for the trees. You think to yourself, you won't think as deeply as to think that, it was a fantastic, and it was a fantastic performance by Brendan Taylor. You think to yourself, the team performed well, but in truth, you've put it perfectly. I think it was a great performance by BT, who came out and he took the game to Pakistan and actually put Zimbabwe in that position. But again, like I say, our humanity kicked in, so we're hopeful for the second game, and then for those hopes to be snuffed out in the manner that they were is heartbreaking, but in truth, it's true to form based on what we've had this year.
All right, let's give you the scorecard for yesterday's second one-day international. Zimbabwe 206 all out and 45.1 overs after winning the toss and electing to bat first. Sean Williams, the former skipper, 75. He was the best of our batsmen. Brendan Taylor trying to support it, but he got out after making a start on 36. Brian Chari scored 25. The pick of the bowlers for Pakistan, Iftikhar Ahmed, 5 for 40, and Mohammad Musa. Not the guy that we know who runs a chain of wholesales here in Zimbabwe. But the cricketer, he snared 2 for 21. And then Pakistan making light work of it. 208 for 4 in 35.2 overs. Babar Azam, one of the best batsmen in the world at the moment. If you have to pick your best 3 batsmen in world cricket, Babar Azam has got to be one of those 3, possibly next to Steve Smith and Virat Kohli. Kane Williamson, perhaps with a shout also to make that top billing. Umam ul Haq made 49, and the best of our bowlers, Tendai Chisoro, 2 for 49. Sikandar Raza, 1 for 23. Pakistan winning by 6 wickets. Now, Chris, the reason why I interjected when Barry was speaking earlier and I brought up the issue of Brendan Taylor is that Brendan Taylor in the first one-day international making a magnificent century where he totally dominated the Pakistan bowling. In this game, Brendan Taylor goes out cheaply for 36. No surprises that this time Pakistan make light work of Zimbabwe.
Definitely make light work of Zimbabwe, and it doesn't help that middle order was completely decimated by Pakistan as well. There was absolutely no resistance anywhere down the middle. And if you take a look at the fact that when in a situation like this, you want to get as good a performance as you can from every single person who's going to be batting, and when you don't get that and your star player doesn't necessarily come to the party like Brendan Taylor in this particular scenario, you're going to have a low score that Pakistan is able to chase down quite efficiently.
Well, Chevrons captain Chamuchi Baba spoke about his team's batting woes after the loss to Pakistan in the second one-day international.
Yeah, we never really got going first half of the game. I thought we never had a real partnership to set us up for a good score that's competitive. So, yeah, it was a bit difficult for us first half. I thought they bowled really well. They came hard at us.
How difficult is it to face to the challenge of Pakistan's bowling? Because you open the innings and it must not be easy to face somebody of Shaheen Shah Afridi's caliber and skills. It's difficult.
Yeah, definitely. He's a really skilled bowler. Bowls a really good pace, gets a bit of swing. It takes a bit of getting used to. But after having struggled with the seamers in the first game, I think it was a bit disappointing for us to get out to their spinner. I think we got out to a lot of soft dismissals. We need to challenge ourselves more, so hopefully in the next game we'll get it right. We remain optimistic. 1 more game to go. It's very important to us. If we can manage to get a win there, it makes a difference for us in the changing room. So, yeah, we remain positive.
Barry, you and I know, having played a bit of cricket in our school days, that the foundation to any good batting performance has got to be your openers. Your top three has got to fire. If you take a look at Zimbabwe, the openers have been absolutely abject. We've had no platform for our middle order to build on.
Yeah, and listen, as Chris was pointing out about that, the performance of the middle order. The middle order can only perform if they don't have pressure on them. And unfortunately, in these two matches, and listen, we might go back a little ways beyond these two matches, but let's stick to these two matches. The openers have not given any sort of platform, meaning that the middle order comes in and they're under pressure to then steady the ship. And that's proving difficult because you're facing some of the best bowlers in the world, in inverted commas. So it makes it very difficult. I think that our openers need to look themselves in the mirror and think about how their shot selection first and foremost, and then secondly, their temperament in these games. Those two areas, they've really let us down.
Well, the skipper Chamuchi Baba himself, Chris, is coming under increasing scrutiny because it's been one failure after another at the very top of the order, together, of course, with Brian Chari, his opening partner. But you need a captain who's high on confidence, a captain who's performing.
A captain who's performing, because I think especially in scenarios like this where you know you're going in as the underdogs, you need a captain who's going to be able to lead from the front, and we haven't seen that from Chamuchi Baba. If you checked on social media yesterday, as soon as Chamu was out, there was a distinct uproar to say, look, we can't have someone who is unable to put up a performance when he's needed to, and this man is supposed to be leading the entire pack. So it's just unfortunate that, this is what we have in terms of selection, but in terms of a captain, I think we can do better.
Okay, so his place, not just as an opening batsman, but also as a captain, is going to come under increasing scrutiny. The third and final one-day international of the series, which is part of the inaugural Super League that is serving as the main route for qualification for the 2023 ICC Cricket World Cup in India, will be played at the same venue tomorrow. News out of the National Premier League. Congratulations to Takashinga, crowned the 2020-2021 National Premier League champions after they finished the inaugural season of the Elite Club competition equal on points with Midwest, but claimed the title thanks to the superior head-to-head record. Your final standings: Takashinga from Highfield in Harare leading the way. Midwest, that is of course a combination of Kwekwe and Kadoma, they finish in second. Rainbow and Harare Kings in third and fourth. Right at the bottom, Great Zimbabwe, Queens and Amakosi. Slightly disappointed for Amakosi after a barnstorming start to this competition, but they fell away rather badly. Right, this is your favorite sports show, ZiFM Sport. We've got a local sports news roundup for you, and then we go international with our sports news. A big rugby result down under. The All Blacks thumping the Wallabies, and England scooping and picking up the pieces after Ireland lost in Paris to France to win the 2020 Six Nations Championship.
Hi, I'm Trevor Nyakani, the Blue Bulls and Springbok prop, and now you're listening to ZiFM Sports.
Let's start our local sports news roundup with tennis, where Zimbabwe tennis star Takanyi Garanganga is targeting a return to the professional circuit early next year as he continues his recovery from knee surgery. The 30-year-old, who is affectionately known as Garwe, suffered a serious knee injury during a training camp in the lead up to Zimbabwe's crucial Davis Cup World Group 2 playoff tie against Syria, played in Harare in March. Garanganga was replaced by young Mehluli Sibanda on the eve of the crucial time, which Zimbabwe won 3-1 at Harare Sports Club a few weeks before all sporting activities around the world were cancelled due to the coronavirus pandemic. On to athletics news now. Olympian Cuthbert Nyasango has applauded the National Athletics Association of Zimbabwe, the NAAZ, for amending its constitution to include athletes in its structures. The amendment sees the Athletes Commission, that is led by Nyasango, getting a seat at the association's decision-making table. Speaking at the sidelines of the elective Congress, where Tendai Tagara was re-elected unopposed as president in Gweru, Nyasango said the coming in of the AC is in line with the World Athletics stance of involving athletes in decision-making. We'll wrap it up with Paralympics news now. Zimbabwe's chef de mission for Tokyo Paralympic Games, Ignatius Vambe, says they need to step up their preparations for the upcoming qualifiers This follows a meeting held last week where they got an update on the staging of the games. Just like the Olympics, the Paralympics were rescheduled for next year, and the challenge for some countries, including Zimbabwe, has been access to qualifiers due to traveling restrictions because of the COVID-19 pandemic. There, however, are a number of qualifiers lined up in Dubai, Tunisia, Italy, France, and China.
Hi, this is Mike Madoda, and you can catch me and the team for all the latest breaking news out of the world of sport, local as well as international, on your favorite station, my station, your station, ZiFM. We are Z-Team on ZiFM Sport.
Z. From the front of the grid to the back of the net, it's ZiFM Sport. International Sports News Roundup, where the world comes out to play.
The Castle Lager World Football Report follows in the second half of the show. That's immediately after our play of the day here on Manic Monday, where we will look at the return of Cristiano Ronaldo in a Serie A. That and so much more to look forward to. But first, our international sports news roundup, where we are talking rugby now. Ruthless All Blacks retained the Bledisloe Cup for an 18th straight year in record-breaking style by blitzing a young Australian team 43-5 to reinforce their trans-Tasman dominance after winning 27-7 in Auckland, which followed a 10-16 draw in Wellington. They accomplished their mission in Sydney by their biggest ever winning margin against the Wallabies, with one match of the series to go, which takes place, of course, next week. Let's hear from All Blacks coach Ian Foster.
We spoke about before the test, didn't we? The opportunity to win and lift this trophy on Aussie soil was pretty meaningful for us, because there was no one in this group that had done that. All our deciding games previously had been in New Zealand, so it was a really cool feeling to be able to do that and to achieve something. And I think sometimes in this business it's easy to move on very, very quickly, and clearly we can't afford to stay in this spot for too long, but I think it was important that the team just sat still for a minute and reflected on the work that they'd put into it. It didn't happen by chance. There was a lot of hard work that the players put in, and they deserve a lot of credit for that.
Z.
Michael, various adjectives come to mind. Unrelenting, ruthless, unforgiving would come to mind when you talk about this performance against the Wallabies by the All Blacks. It was brutal.
Yeah, it was brutal, Barry, and this time they got the points that their performance deserved, and it could have been worse, because there were at least a couple of tries that they left out there on the park. This could have been the other side of 50 points, but it's a performance I think that Ian Foster will be happy about. Remember, he's a new coach, and there are always expectations that come with the All Blacks. Remember, they are the most successful team in the history of sport. Think about that for a minute. Not in rugby, in the history of sport. They've got a win percentage that is north of 80%, okay? That's never been done in any sport. Then this is over 100-year existence. So there is a pressure that comes with being the coach of that team to maintain that winning pedigree, to maintain the traditions of the All Blacks. And these are victories, Barry, that give you confidence as a coach going forward to say, you know what, I am good enough for this job. Because there'll always be questions initially when you start that, can you build on the legacy of the previous great coaches that have gone before you? And Steve Shag Hansen was one of the greatest.
Yeah, Steve Shag Hansen, of course, doing what he does, and everybody thought that would be the end of an era. They went for continuity. They picked Ian Foster, who was an assistant to Shag Hansen, and in truth, the continuity is being seen in the fact that this All Black side is looking absolutely good for the money, and not least of all, the pick of fly half Richie Mo'unga, who in this game, probably one of his better games in All Black colours, Chris.
Incredible performance by Richie Mo'unga, 23 points in one game, and I think it's one of those performances that he'll definitely look back and say, this is one of my career bests. We saw him right across from the beginning, right up until the end. Incredible performance.
Yeah, good performance by Richie Mo'unga, and in truth, it's easy to single him out, but in truth, it was a team performance that achieved this. Now let's switch over to Australia. Can we read too much into this, Mike, or can they be circumspect and say to themselves, we're a young side, we're a team in transition, which they always were, and Dave Rennie can say to himself, let's look at the positives and try and amplify those as we go forward.
I think Australia need 18 to 24 months before we can start perhaps being overly critical or scrutinizing Dave Rennie as a coach. He's come in, remember, a very successful coach with the Chiefs out in New Zealand, coached one of the age grade sides as well successfully in New Zealand. I think it's the New Zealand under-19 team. So he is a good coach. He's got the pedigree. But with this Australian side, which is in transition, it was always going to be very difficult in that you're playing your first 4 matches versus the All Blacks. That's not exactly the best sort of like bedding in that any young talent need in international rugby. Let's see how they do against Argentina. Let's see how they're going to do if they're going to be any of the sort of like incoming tours next season from the Northern Hemisphere sides. You know, when your Irelands and your Wales and your Frances of this world go down under and play a bit of rugby with Australia and New Zealand. I think only then can we really start to say, okay, let's see which direction the Wallabies are going. Remember, they didn't have the greatest of Super Rugby competitions to actually say, you know what, that's a good bedrock for selection. Let's see if rugby is played in full next season, a full Super Rugby season, and then we can start talking about where the Wallabies are going.
Yeah, it's really like being given a job at the circus, Chris, and your first task is to tame a lion. That's pretty much how Dave Rennie feels. And also it didn't help that the injuries that he didn't suffer to experienced campaigners like Matt Tomua and James O'Connor, who he replaced with debutants. It doesn't help, and in truth it showed.
It showed. You're going to have players who are going to be a little bit shell-shocked coming against an All Black side that was strength 10. I think it was mentioned, after the first test, Ian Foster actually said, you know what, we're still to improve, we're going to get better. And that's exactly what they've done after the second test. Even taking a look at this third test, they have been improving consistently. So really tough to tame this line, especially when you don't have the experience in the team that you would have wanted. You, in as much as you want to blood in your young players, this was certainly not the best opportunity to do so. He did what he had to do, but I think that lack of experience showed throughout the match.
As Mike said, let's see how they do against the likes of Argentina in what has now become the Tri-Nations Championship. All right, there was more rugby in the Northern Hemisphere where we had Six Nations action and it was a business end. And England were crowned 2026 Nations champions. They beat Italy in Rome as Ireland lost to France, Michael. I can't remember whether you tipped it or not, but I certainly got it wrong.
Yeah, I expected the Irish to go and do the business in Paris, mainly because France tended to blow hot and cold. But this was a performance in which France were very clinical when they got the opportunities. I thought the Irish looked good, whenever they had the ball, but you can't commit so many turnovers and make so many mistakes without France punishing you, because they do have the players. And let's not forget that France have actually enjoyed a very good campaign in this year's Super Rugby. Remember, they thumped England in the opening game, and so they were sort of like thereabouts before I think they suffered that shock loss. I think was it to Scotland that saw them then of course fall away in terms of the betting for who would eventually win the Six Nations Championship. But not an entirely surprising result, but I thought Ireland had the motivation to go to Paris, do the business and win the Six Nations.
Yeah, exactly, the motivation. But in truth, France themselves had the motivation to try and win a rugby match and show that they are good for the money, to borrow your moniker, Michael, when you talk about betting. So the results out of Six Nations: Wales going down 14-10 to Scotland. England, like we said, beating Italy pretty imperious fashion, 34-5. And then France having the wool over Ireland, 35-27. That one ended, meaning that England finished top of the table in the Six Nations and win it. And then in second, France. In third, Ireland. In fourth is Scotland. In fifth, Wales. And in sixth is Italy. There is Super Rugby unlocked action taking place in South Africa. And this past weekend's results look like this. The Lions 61-31 over the Griquas. The Pumas upended by the Sharks 42-19. And then the Bulls beating the Stormers 39-6.
Hi, I'm Trevor Nyakani, the Blue Bulls and Springbok prop, and now you're listening to ZiFM Sports.
Around the world in 60 seconds. International sports news.
We take off in England, where Alexander Usyk passed his first major test in the heavyweight division by outboxing Derek Chisora and winning their high-stakes clash via unanimous decision on Saturday night. Ukraine's undefeated Olympic gold medalist and undisputed cruiserweight champion answered doubts about his natural size by displaying his electric footwork and razor-sharp punch accuracy against Chisora at the SSE Arena at Wembley. We head over to Austria, where rising star Andrei Rublev won his fifth ATP title of the season after beating Lorenzo Sonego 6-4, 6-4 at the Erste Bank Open. The Russian now has won 3 of his last 4 tournaments, improving his record to 7 wins and 2 losses in career finals. Yesterday's victory also earned him a berth at the season-ending ATP finals in London. We touched down in the United Arab Emirates, where Ruturaj Gaikwad smashed his 3rd consecutive IPL 50 as Chennai Super Kings rounded off their campaign on a high and dumped Kings 11 Punjab out of the tournament. Deepak Huda's unbeaten 62 from 30 balls had dug Kings 11 out of trouble and enabled them to post 153 for 6, but it was not enough as CSK chased down the target with 7 deliveries to spare. The result confirms Kings 11 go out alongside their opponents, whose captain MS Dhoni confirmed prior to the game that he intends to remain at the Super Kings helm when the next edition of the IPL starts in 2021.
The Castle Lager Premier Soccer League, La Liga, Serie A, the English Premier League, the Bundesliga. It all comes together with the Castle on the Castle Lager World Football Report.
No better place to kick off the Castle Lager World Football Report than in England, and there were some interesting matches that were played over the weekend, starting on Friday evening, where Wolves got the better of Crystal Palace 2-0, and then Manchester City got action going on Saturday afternoon with a 1-0 victory over Sheffield United. Sheffield United looking like they're in all sorts of trouble. Chelsea continued to score and score big with a thumping 3-0 victory over Burnley. Liverpool beat West Ham 2-1. Aston Villa and Southampton played out a thrilling 7-goal thriller, but the Saints putting their foot off the gas in the dying stages of that game to allow Villa back into the game. Newcastle beating Everton, the previous table toppers, 2-1, and then Tottenham Hotspur with a similar result last night versus Brighton. But all eyes were on Old Trafford as Mikel Arteta's Gunners made the trip into the northwest to take on Manchester United, and they came away with the victory that they were craving. For the first time since 2006, Arsenal victorious in Manchester, courtesy of a second-half penalty by Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang to win 1-0. Now Arteta, who becomes just the second manager in Arsenal history to win both of his first 2 games versus United, was in no doubt that the Gunners were worthy winners.
Yes, I didn't want to tell the players, to be fair, that we didn't win here in 14 years, I think it was.
Did you really keep that quiet?
Yes, I kept it quiet. I just tried to generate belief, and I just demanded to be who we are here in any ground. And I think the team that you saw tonight is where we are starting to be, and I'm proud the way we approach the game, the personality that we show to play against this team at Old Trafford, and obviously delighted with the win. We interpreted well what we had to do. They play a really tricky formation. With diamond, with a square, with people dropping in certain areas that are difficult to control. I think we're really, really aggressive. We won a lot of balls in the opposition half as we were. In the second half, physically we dropped. We have played a lot of games. We could not maintain that level of intensity, but I think we just gave one opportunity away, and we looked really solid.
Alois, hardly a surprising sentiment there coming in from Arteta. Arsenal full value for their victory, the far better side over the course of 90 minutes.
Yeah, of course, Mike, Arsenal were a better side. They will look like a more stable team. Structurally, they better structure. They attacked well, they defended well. You could actually see that they intent, in everything that they were doing. Even in the first half, I thought they could have scored at least 1 goal. They created chances. I saw the one up. Aubameyang came through. He was set up, tried to place the shot. Usually he banks them in. I actually thought that he was scoring that one. So you could actually tell that, they came to Old Trafford to actually come and collect points. They didn't feel intimidated. I was happy with the way Arteta talked about the issue of 14 years without winning. He said that they didn't even discuss it with the players. He didn't even mention it because he didn't want the players to be intimidated by that. So he just let the players go out and play. Like we were saying, without fans, it's winner take all. It's all for it, because fans only intimidate when they are full. But if it's an empty stadium, it's just 11 versus 11 on the field. The dimensions only tell. So he did well, and Arsenal did well, and I was happy for Arsenal, although I'm a Manchester United fan. But I thought they played better football and deserved the win.
Barry, you can tell which direction Arsenal is going in, because when it comes to the tactics and the approaches to games, Mikel Arteta seems to be very astute, seems to set his stall out very well. And it looks like that if Arsenal fans are patient and he gets the right sort of backing over 2 or 3 transfer windows, there could very well be a title tilt from the Gunners soon.
Absolutely, and in truth, it's a system of play that they are able to implement regardless of the system or formation that they implement. So whether they've got 3 at the back or they've got 4 at the back, they seem to play in the same way. In other words, they pass it around very quickly in midfield, get it out wide, and then try to get the crosses in. When it's on, they even come through the middle. So you can see what direction the team is going and what Arteta wants to achieve. I suspect that he still feels that he may not have all the pieces that he wants. You'll note that they missed out on signing Awa from Olympique Lyon in this window. Possibly they may make another tilt in the January window. But once he's got all the pieces, you can see that he's a man you can trust with money and a budget.
Chris, when things were going wrong over the last couple of weeks, when Arsenal was stuttering, there was a lot of talk around Mesut Ozil to say, maybe Arsenal missed the trick by not including him in the Premier League squad and not involving him in things as they are happening right now at the Emirates. But it's performances like this that make you realize that the club is bigger than the player.
The club is definitely bigger than the player, and if you look specifically at Mesut Ozil, he's not the kind of player who was willing to come to the party when he was selected. He's not the kind of player who was willing to put in the hard work, to put in the shifts. And also, because Arsenal is going in a specific direction, Mikel Arteta has a plan. The plan is definitely going to be bigger than individual players, no matter how much you're paying them, no matter how long they've been at the club. And it's that direction that Arsenal need to take on, more than the consideration of a particular player. Like you said, the club is always going to be bigger than the player, and the playing style that's clearly working is not going to be changed up. They're not going to change their tactics for Mesut Ozil. It's not worth it.
While Mikel Arteta continues to win many friends with his approach at Arsenal as a young manager, questions continue to be asked about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who's in charge of Manchester United. Now, he spoke to the media after the game and he says that his team didn't turn up.
Out from the first half, we never turned up. First half, the intensity, tempo wasn't there. The shape, they were better than us, created couple of half decent chances. Second half it didn't look like they were going to score apart from the penalty, so we played better second half, but still we have to turn up with more intensity.
Alois, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, listen, it seems like this is a script that we've read before. Manchester United pick up some decent results now and again. They go on these unbeaten runs. They beat PSG in the middle of those unbeaten runs usually, and then a result like this happens. Consistently, United are moving from sublime to bad. What is the problem here? Is it the players or the coach?
Yeah, Mike, it's hard to swallow, especially if you are a Manchester United fan. You come from beating PSG, you come from beating RB Leipzig, then you come home and you lose to Arsenal, in a performance that is not even close to the other performance. So you would want to think, is it the coach or is it the players? But when I look, we were comparing between Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Arteta. We spoke that Arteta, you could actually see what he was doing. You can see the structure of the team. You can see the tactics of the team. But with Manchester United, there are games that you will be like, okay, against the PSG, you understood the tactics. We saw it. But now this time around, we didn't see what was happening. I didn't know where Pogba was playing. In open play, he ended up committing a foul in the box. We don't know exactly where the players are going. So for me, if you ask me, I would think that we have a problem with the coach. He is not coming to stick out with the structure, with the tactics of the team. We don't know which tactics we are using at any given time. You think that players are just going out there and play on their own.
Talk will always continue around whether Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is tactically astute enough to be the man in the hot seat at Manchester United. But football pundit Roy Keane, their decorated former captain, has gone on one step further, and he is lamenting the lack of leadership within the Manchester United team. Let's hear from him.
You know, Ollie, once again, he'd be scratching his head. We keep talking about, after the Spurs game, the last few weeks, have they turned the corner? It's the longest corner ever. I'm just not convinced with these players. I go back to it. We all talk about characters, Manchester United. I just don't see enough of them today. I was going to say I don't see enough of them. I don't see any leaders out there. Right through the whole team, from the experienced players. Really worry for United now.
Barry, Roy Keane, always honest, always candid, and he reckons that the players have got to take some of the responsibility.
They do to an extent, and unfortunately, look, we're going to have this conversation at some stage. Arsenal, post-match interview, Arteta, he mentions the word culture 3 times. The culture that's been embedded at Arsenal now. You look at the culture at Manchester United, it is wrong. So the players, the coaching staff, and indeed the organization needs to relook at their culture, because I don't think that there is a culture at Manchester United. That's why they're getting results in one place and can't repeat them over a prolonged period of time.
Well, what does it all mean? It means that after match day 7, which is not yet complete because there are 2 matches being played tonight, the early kickoff will see Fulham taking on West Brom. That's at 7:30. And then at 10 o'clock, it's Leeds United taking on Leicester in what should be an absolutely cracking encounter. Liverpool leading the way, top of the log, minus Virgil van Dijk. Ever since he got injured, it's played 4-1-4. I thought the wheels were coming off. Spurs are up to 2nd, Everton down to 3rd, and Southampton in the heady heights of 4th. Bringing up the rear, Burnley, Fulham, Sheffield United, and West Bromwich Albion. The Z Fantasy League continues to be exciting. Obvious Ndlovu leading the way, 494 points. Just 1 point behind him is Jose Carino. He's got 493 points. His team is Pat-Mat Westlife. And then Chauya Chipembere, David Stoller, their manager, 486 points. Your star of the week, Alois, who was your best performer? I know there are 2 matches tonight, but you listen, 8 matches still good enough for us to pick one good player.
Yeah, I thought the most entertaining game was between Southampton and Aston Villa, and I was torn between 2 players, Jack Grealish and James Ward-Prowse. But in the end, I have to go with James Ward-Prowse because of those 2 brilliant free kicks and the assist as well from the free kick. I'm actually looking at a situation where we're actually having a new David Beckham in the English Premier League. Identical free kicks, same spot. It means that he is sharp. Well done to him, James Prowse. He is my player of the week.
From Rufaro to Barberfield, Mandava to Nyamunga, all the perfect moments in the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League come together on ZiFM Sport.
All right, let's dive into La Liga. Aiba beaten at home 2-0 by Cadiz. Athletic Club 2-1 winners over Sevilla. Real Betis 3-1 winners over Elche on the weekend that they launched their academy here in Zimbabwe. Real Sociedad, good road win, 4-1 winners over Celta Vigo. Granada 1-all result against Levante, and Valencia playing out a 2-all draw with Getafe. The big 3, they were in action as well. Atletico Madrid, they remain the only unbeaten team in the league after securing a 3-1 win away at Osasuna. This despite Diego Costa and Luis Suarez not even featuring at El Sadar. The fact that they're unbeaten at the moment, no doubt, will be bringing great joy to Diego Simeone, Chris.
Definitely, Diego Simeone is going to be incredibly happy about this. They're currently sitting in 3rd as well. So Atletico Madrid is on a good run. If they can continue this, then I think they have a good chance of staying right there at the top.
You were just about to say making a title tilt, but you're a bit apprehensive about saying that because defending champions Real Madrid, they looked good value because they defeated Huesca 4-1 in an absolute rout. Good performance by Madrid there.
Definitely a good performance by Real Madrid. Brilliant performances from a couple of players. One of them, Karim Benzema, 2 goals and an assist in there as well. He basically had a hand in all of the goals that was scored by...
Is one of those players your star of the week?
Definitely. Karim Benzema is my player of the week. He's become Mr. Reliable for Real Madrid. Long may it continue.
Long may it continue to shut up Alois Bunjira.
I knew that was coming.
Barcelona head coach Ronald Koeman, of course, admitting he is worried about his stuttering team following their equally worst La Liga start as they drew 1-1 at 10-man Deportivo Alavés. It's very concerning what's happening in Catalonia, and I'm not talking politics.
Alcohol may be hazardous to health if consumed to excess. The operation of machinery or driving after the consumption of alcohol is not advisable. Not for sale to persons under the age of 18 years.
Castle Lager is more than just beer. It's pure liquid gold, crafted from the finest local ingredients to deliver a taste that is somewhat dry, somewhat bitter, but never sweet. It's the taste that stood the test of time. It all comes together with a castle.
Heading into Italy now, your results from Serie A this past weekend. Crotone going down against Atalanta 2-1. Inter Milan and Parma drawing 2-2. Bologna beat Cagliari 3-2. Torino going down 3-4 against Lazio. Cristiano Ronaldo back in action now. He came off the bench to score a brace on his return from coronavirus as Juventus got back to winning ways in Serie A with a 4-1 victory against promoted Spezia. Alois, for you, Cristiano Ronaldo's back. He's back to winning ways, and this is definitely a boost that Juventus needed.
Yeah, of course, Chris, you could actually tell that Juve struggled a little bit without him, without his influence. When he came on from the bench, we could actually tell that this is a team that badly needed this guy. And he scored the brilliant goal, another one from the penalty spot. But you can tell that he has got the energy. He has been heard saying that he criticized the coronavirus testing system and all that. I think probably he wanted to prove it, that I was never sick, because he says, well, how can I be positive when I'm feeling this good? So he just came on and do the business, and that was actually brilliant. And obviously, like we said, Juve really needed him.
Some more results. Roma 2-0 against Fiorentina. Sampdoria and Genoa 1-1. Napoli going down against Sassuolo 2-0. Zlatan Ibrahimovic scoring another acrobatic late winner as AC Milan consolidated the top spot in Serie A with a 2-1 victory at Udinese. Barry, your star of the week.
Now, that's obvious. Cristiano Ronaldo rising from the bench, back from coronavirus hiatus, scoring 2 goals, one a brilliant goal, and then the other one a Panenka penalty. Absolutely brilliant. And don't forget, the story must be told. He came on when the teams were at 1 apiece, and then ultimately Juventus running out 4-1 victors. So for me, Cristiano Ronaldo, back with a bang.
We finish up the wrap of the European leagues with the Bundesliga. Results from this past weekend. Schalke and Stuttgart 1-1. Cologne going down against Bayern Munich 2-1. Eintracht Frankfurt and Werder Bremen, that also ended a 1-1 draw. Defender Mats Hummels scored twice in the second half to help Borussia Dortmund beat Arminia Bielefeld 2-0 and move level on points with leaders Bayern Munich. Augsburg beating Mainz 3-1 by Leverkusen, also with a win against Freiburg that ended 4-2. Hertha Berlin going down against Wolfsburg 2-1. RB Leipzig lost 1-0 at Borussia Mönchengladbach when their on-loan player Hannes Wolf scored against them as they slipped off top spot in the Bundesliga. Interesting results there, Mike. Your star of the week?
It's going to be Mats Hummels of Borussia Dortmund. Borussia Dortmund, of course, played Bielefeld, and they were struggling to find a breakthrough until the second half when he scored those goals. Anytime you can score a brace from the centre-back position, I think you deserve to be the star of the week.
On Friday, we previewed the first leg of the semi-finals in the MTN 8, and they were phenomenal to watch. SuperSport United drawing 1-1 with Bloemfontein Celtic, but the big one, El Clasico, Orlando Pirates running out 3-0 winners over the Amakosi Kaizer Chiefs. Routine in the end, Michael, and we didn't expect it to be.
I didn't expect it to be routine, but I certainly expected Orlando Pirates to be better than Kaizer Chiefs, that's for sure, because they're a better team, and they showed it. I think what will worry Kaizer Chiefs even more is the fact that Orlando Pirates look like they can get better. They look like they will get better. Fantastic performance from Vincent Pule. The second goal that he scored for Orlando Pirates, which was Orlando Pirates' second goal. The control, the turn, the space that he created, the placement of the shot. Absolutely fantastic for Pirates. They go 1 foot in the final. I watched Supersport United and Bloemfontein Celtic. Any of those sides coming into the final versus Pirates, they're going to have to play one hell of a game to beat Pirates. This Pirates side is looking really good.
They're looking good value, Alois, and in truth, Kaizer Chiefs themselves, they'll be asking questions on the basis that in League and Cup, they are struggling to score goals, and that's proving itself in this game because blanking against Orlando Pirates, a very good Orlando Pirates side, it must be added, but still a blank.
Yeah, like Mike said, Pirates have got a better team, and still Kaizer Chiefs are still struggling to score goals. They are depending on set pieces from Kamabiliad to Castro so that they can actually use their toe strikers. That is exactly the same game plan that they were crying about when Ernest Middendorp was there. So I don't know why they really changed coaches when they are coming back to actually play the very same brand of football that they were playing last time around. Yet, right now they are not getting the results, but at least with Ernest Middendorp, they were actually getting results. They are struggling to score goals. I don't know where the goals are going to come from. Maybe Kamabiliad can wave a magic wand and do something that he used to do at Mamelodi Sundowns. I don't know. But right now, I just don't have the cure for Kaizer Chiefs at the moment.
Chris, 4 games played, 2 League and 2 Cup, and already Gavin Hunt must be under pressure.
He must be under a lot of pressure, especially because of the fact that this team is not playing any better or any differently than it was when Ernst Middendorp was there.
Would you say worse?
I would say slightly worse based on this past weekend's performance. They looked a little bit weaker. There was no bite there, and Pirates really were just enjoying themselves towards the end.
And a very good Pirate side indeed. 1 foot in the final, and that's to be kind to Kaizer Chiefs because it's all but set that Orlando Pirates will be in the final of the MTN8 based on the performance, but also the scoreline 3-0. The second leg takes place this coming weekend. God help Kaizer Chiefs if they show up in the way that they did this past weekend. Hopefully we've shown up in this edition of ZiFM Sport. Always good when we do the weekend review. Hopefully your team performed and we covered it adequately. If we didn't, we still got tomorrow to do. So join us then. May God richly bless you. That's my story. And I'm sticking to it. Manande, out.
And it's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
The biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.